G'day, Leigh again, and I'm here to have a chat to you today about this little sucker. It is the Amaran H672S. Now there's two versions of this particular light. One is the S version, which is spotlight, and the other one is a W, which is a wider angle. Now the difference is this has a beam angle of about 25 degrees and the wide has one of about 75 degrees. Other than that, the lights are pretty much identical. They output very, very similar. This is a little bit hotter in the center and has a little bit more punch in the center. So basically, here it is. This is the back panel. You've got your on-off switch here, and you've got this dial which tunes up and down the amount of light that you want. And then you have a couple of buttons here. You've got a group button and a channel button. And basically what they do is they just select which group and channel this little sucker. This is actually one of the greatest accessories that this little thing comes with. Basically what it allows you to do is turn your lights on and off. You can crank up the brightness or turn it down, and you can control up to 4 lights off one of these remotes. It's really, really handy little feature. You know, like if you're placing your lights up, you don't have to get up and turn dials every time you want to change. And you can quickly do that between 4 different lights, and you can also do that off 3 different channels. So you can actually have it off one channel. They can all be on the same so that they're all synced together and you're turning them all up and down at once, or you can have them on individual channels and change them differently, which is cool. Now on the advertising for this, it says that the light goes from perfectly from 100, which it never gets to because it only goes to 99, and goes all the way to 0, which it doesn't. It only goes to 10, and I think that's probably the biggest drawback with this. It would be nice to have seen this being able to go just a little bit further in dimming down, because sometimes even this can be like that, blown out a bit too much. It'd be nice to just be able to just tone it back even more if it could, but obviously that's not the go with this. It is quite bright. It'll go up like this. I've used this light pretty much for my key light for quite some time. I've recently upgraded and got a bigger single LED light. So these I tend to be using for either hair lights or feature lights and so forth, or just to basically give extra spill to fill out a room. So the key light I'm using now is the Godox UL150, which I'm going to do a review about at some other point. And I've got a couple other little lights doing some accents as well. But this one has been really good for my first sort of LED panel and using this as a key light. Now I must say though that they do have a little bit of a limitation, and that is in just sheer output. So to give you a bit of an idea, the light that I'm currently using now is set on 18%, and to get that same sort of value in here on this particular light I would be running about 60. So the output of that light is obviously heaps more than this one. This light works great for, you know, I've found smaller environments. A few of them together is really good for washing out a whole area, but I do find sometimes that if you're really trying to, you know, push as much light as possible onto the set, that these kind of fall short a little bit, and then you do find yourself needing something bigger like a 150, a 120D or a 320D or so forth to get more output. So great little starter kit. I would highly recommend these if you were just going to do, you know, vlogging and stuff like that, and maybe stuff like me where you set up in a studio or such. But like I said, once you start wanting sort of bigger output light, these start to fall short a little bit. They also come with this little sliding diffuser here, and you have one like this. You have a white one and also a tungsten one. Now this is literally just a daylight 5500K light. It doesn't have any tungsten color at all, so it comes with this, and you can slide this diffuser in, and that gives you your tungsten light there that you can see in that sort of goldish, nice warm light. So really handy. That comes with it. definitely better than not having one whatsoever, but I do find that as a diffusion, they don't really give you a lot of diffusion. It's still a fairly hard light, and it does need a little bit extra, like an umbrella or a softbox. Now, word of warning with the softbox, these are, and one of the main reasons that I went for these to start with, is they are not fan cooled and they are silent. So for me, in a studio where I'm worried about sound and I want to be able to just get the sound of the microphone and not have, you know, fans and different bits and pieces taking off, this is really handy for that. And then recently Godox released their big form factor LED UL150, and that is also a silent light, so that was what I've upgraded to now. Worth noting, these are silent, but they obviously do kick out a little bit of heat, and you do need to keep these vents pretty much clear. And if you're using a softbox, the softbox still needs to be able to get some ventilation into it so that they don't overheat. One of the things that they did release for this is they've released their own sort of softbox thing that clicks on the front. It's only about yay deep, and I've seen a few reviews of it, but nothing seems to be that they're that, you know, great a result. And one of the things that I actually wished that they'd come up with this was some sort of, you know, because you've got a 1/4 inch on each side here. You don't have one on the top, you've only got each side. And I would have liked to have seen them come up with some sort of, you know, like square cagey thing that gave you some sort of barn doors, because this doesn't have any form of barn doors to be able to sort of angle the light in, which is one of the things that I can find to be a little bit annoying with this, is that you cannot direct the light with anything attached to this because there just isn't anything made for them. So that is one drawback that I didn't know about when I got them. I was assuming that I'd be able to find some sort of barn door setup that would make it quite easy for me to, you know, angle the light where I wanted it to go with this, but there's nothing out there on the market, not even aftermarket, that I could find that would really work for this particular light. So if you are looking at something that you can, you know, direct and cut off and get exactly where you want, do know that you're going to have to use external, you know, covers or blacks and so forth, and you're going to have to, you know, shape the light yourself as you go along with that. It does run off power cable, so you can plug them in and run them permanently, which was the other feature that I really did need, because I wanted to be able to, you know, not have to rely on batteries all the time. Or alternatively, you can run them off to NP Sony style batteries. Now, one thing I will say with these is this design here of this clip is just literally like pure evil waiting to take your fingertips off, and it's just the most horrible design. I don't know who come up with it, but they should be shot, to be honest. It's just awful. You've got to push this in at the same time as pushing the battery that way. So what do you expect's going to happen when you do that? So I found you sort of got to push in there and put a little bit of pressure on it, and then get your finger out of the way if you can. And it's just, they're the only thing I don't like. And then you've got to slide that way and then take the battery out. To get them in's nice and easy. You just literally put them on and they click in and they don't go anywhere. But yeah, getting them off is just an absolute bitch. So to whoever designed this clippy thing here, I can say a big, because you're a jerk. And I'll leave a link below for where you can find the lights yourself if you're interested in having a look. So yeah, all in all, like I said, they've done me really good. I have upgraded now to a bigger light, but I will still be using these for other things, particularly like hair lighting or backlighting, wash on the walls, and so on and so on. As I always say, don't be a dick. It's pretty simple, really. Later!